In this video, I'll be talking about memetic warfare and how it connects to framing and ideology. To start off, what is framing? It occurs when media outlets present information by highlighting specific details to promote a targeted message. In the class text by Robert Entman, Framing Towards Clarification of a Fractured Paradigm, framing is defined as a process that mainly involves selection and salience. Entman explains how it's a process that selects some aspects of perceived reality and make them more salient in a communicating text, such a way as to promote particular problem definition, casual interpretation, moral evaluation, and/or treatment recommendation for the item described. According to a research study from John Amos titled Media Framing and How It Can Shift the Narrative, frames were shown to consist of an emotional array, a set of emotions, the level of intensity at which these are expressed, and a distinctive associated language. This means framing intentionally invokes specific emotions to make audiences comfortable supporting a particular viewpoint. Now, for ideology. It is a set of beliefs, traditions, values, and ideas held by a group or an individual that influences their actions and worldview. A media studies article titled Ideology in the Media, Definitions and Examples notes how dominant media ideologies are systemically reinforced through the preferred reading of media texts, but adds that a new ideology will become normalized and accepted the more it appears on our social networks. In the article Memes in a Digital World, Reconciling with a Conceptual Troublemaker, Lee Shipman connects ideology to internet culture, noting although they spread on a micro basis, memes' impacts is on the macro. They shape the mindsets, forms of behavior, and actions of social groups. Internet communities use these shared visuals to express collective values. Additionally, an MIT Press book chapter by Tarleton Gillespie titled The Relevance of Algorithms focuses on how ideological memes spread. He explains how bias recommendation algorithms provide a means to know what there is to know and how to know it, to participate in social and political discourse, and to familiarize ourselves with the publics in which we participate. This connects to memetic warfare, which relies on algorithmic logic to push ideological narratives onto everyday users. The subject that I'm going to be covering is memetic warfare, the psychological, humorous use of internet memes as digital weapons to influence public opinion on geopolitical and current events. Its use to systemically spread targeted information campaigns by evoking strong emotional reactions like humor, outrage, and mockery. Crucially, memetic warfare desensitizes audience to tragedy by mocking its seriousness, which hinders critical thinking and shields powerful institutions or foreign nations from accountability. What are the justifications for applying framing and ideology? When looking at memetic warfare, framing shows how users weaponize sarcasm and irony to disguise propaganda as mere quote-unquote entertainment, such as NAFO. Ideology is equally relevant because memes serve as a delivery system for those belief structures. Simply put, ideologies are the fuel generating discourse, while framing provides the narrative structure that constructs and presents these beliefs to the public. In memetic warfare, users use Entman's concept of selection to strip away the complex context of geopolitical crisis. They invoke salience by using Shiba Inu dogs to replace political figures, mocking Russian propaganda and making sure opponents look embarrassed. This directly alters salience to promote a specific problem definition and casual interpretation. This dynamic relies on John Amos's emotional array. By using an unserious frame through the dogs, NAFO generates sympathy and a sense of moral superiority for Ukraine. Furthermore, NAFO counters propaganda through raw mockery rather than fact-based analysis, as shown with Modus Trollerlandi. Without framing, this functions as Entman's treatment recommendation, relying on emotional destruction rather than rational debate to dominate the media narrative. And through these images, it might seem as chaotic internet reactions, but framing proves that they are a structured, deliberate attempt to alter perceptions of a geopolitical crisis. Recently, Iranian state media and state actors have resorted to meme posting regarding US-Iran tensions instead of releasing formal diplomatic statements, co-opting internet culture. On a micro level, users interpret this as purely comedic. However, Schiffman's theory shows they operate on a macro level. As users consume this content, their mindsets shift, normalizing the idea that Western leaders are ineffective or immoral. This shows how micro-level memes achieve macro-level ideological change. And this shift relies heavily on platform architectures. As the media studies article noted, ideology is normalized through frequent visibility. State actors exploit digital algorithms to amplify high emotion content, manipulating the tools that provide a means to know what there is to know, as Gillespie stated. This eliminates nuance, transforming hidden political agendas into everyday algorithmic entertainment. Now, of course, these frameworks have limitations. A limitation of framing is that it often treats audiences as passive receivers, overlooking our ability to critically debunk memes. A limitation of ideology is that focusing too much on it can cause us to reduce complex behaviors to mere echo chambers. Fortunately, these limitations can be overcome through active critical analysis and improved media literacy. Now, applying these concepts yields critical insights. First, it reveals how what can seem like an organic, bottom-up culture of internet humor is actually a structured, top-down instrument of geopolitical influence. Framing exposes memes as calibrated narrative weapons, while ideology shows how micro-interactions shift cultural boundaries. Memetic warfare successfully camouflages state-sponsored propaganda as participatory culture, turning everyday users into unwitting infantry distributing ideology simply because a meme was just funny. Second, this analysis enables us to identify structural flaws in our media ecosystem by exposing the depth of nuance, where complex crises become binary bad team sports, and the weaponization of irony, where bad actors hide behind the shield of "it's just a joke" to avoid accountability. Finally, it highlights algorithmic complicity. As Gillespie noted, platform architectures dictate how we know what we know, meaning algorithms structurally prioritize high emotion propaganda over factual debate. Ultimately, this implies urgent changes are needed. We must move towards memetic literacy, learning to deconstruct the ideological subtext of a joke and asking, what political view is this asking me to normalize? We must also demand algorithmic transparency from platforms. Before we share a geopolitical or any funny meme about a topic or current event, we must recognize that the digital battlefield isn't just in our screens, it is a calculated war for our minds. Here's my works cited, a statement of contribution. Thank you for watching.